All right, man. Let's talk about conflict. Men should not avoid conflict, and a lot of times you see a lot of these men, these males, avoiding conflict, and the constant avoidance of conflict. I believe that makes a good simp trait. That makes a great simp trait, and I'm gonna tell you why. When you kind of avoid conflict with a person, let's just say in this regard, with a woman, and you scared to bring up your concerns to a woman, or maybe she getting overweight, or she ain't give you no poon poon, or she ain't cooking and cleaning the way she cook and clean, and you scared to address that because you don't want an argument, you don't want to debate, and you just don't say nothing and you hold it in. But then when she has complaints, or she has gripes with you, it's like she don't be scared to voice it. Women don't really avoid conflict as far as when something is wrong in a relationship. They don't avoid it. They don't avoid the conflict, especially with you. Now if they do, they don't, and they can't hold things in long. Let me say that first and foremost. They can't hold things in long. And this ain't really about a woman thing. I just use it as an example. When you a beta, if you scared to bring up a conflict that you have in your household with the woman that you with, and that's how problems happen. That's how issues come about. You holding it in, and my thing is, if you tell her to do something, or you say you got an issue with it and it don't get fixed, or it's not progressing to get fixed, at the end of the day, you got to leave. And these are the type of things, or you got to show her that you ain't bullshitting. Women do it all the time. Yeah, if you don't do this, I'm leaving. Okay. A lot of times it's smoke, because we know they don't have the options that they say they have. It was a guy, and the woman say, yeah, I'm leaving out of state. I'm moving. If you don't marry me, I'm moving to another city, whatever. I'm leaving. And he like, all right. He helped her pack her shit. And she was like, I was just pump faking. I was waiting for him to. That's what they do. So when you start saying, well, I got to gripe with this and I got to gripe with that, it can be bills, it can be sex, it can be whatever. And then, at the end of the day, she just never fixes it. And you just start swallowing your tongue and not saying nothing. Pay attention. Every time she has an issue with you, eventually she might hold on from, but she brings it up. And a lot of married men are like that. I just shut up, and I'm miserable. I shut up. I do what she say. I don't challenge what she say. I don't bring up a gripe. I just shut up. And eventually it still ends in divorce. But if they were man enough to nip that in the bud early on, guess what? You probably wouldn't even ended up in a marriage, or she wouldn't even play with you like that. Those are tests that women do. When you start, avoiding conflict and avoiding this, that, and the third, and you might see your girl might be doing something and you don't like it and you don't address it, or I might even be for real. Yeah, I might just be still dating, courting, kicking it, and you don't address it, right? And she thinks she get away. You gotta nip that in the bud. They test you like that, so if you don't say nothing, they're like, all right, I know I can get over him. He ain't gonna check me. It may be scenarios. I might get on the stage with Chris Brown and take a picture with you, like, would you do? Like, nah, I don't play that. We just have to break up. Like, guys don't play. When guys stern, they listen. But in general, a beta male trait is you avoiding conflict. Men are supposed to have conflict with each other if they don't agree, and you have conflict with each other, and you come to a mutual agreement. You don't shut down, you address the conflict. Men that y'all having a discussion, or y'all are trying to figure something out, and y'all might be going back and forth, and it might get heated. The one person that give up and shut up and start crying and whining and tell you to escalate it, go tell the HR, go tell the boss, or I don't want to talk about it no more. Instead of coming to a compromise or coming to an agreement, that's a bitch mentality. Bitches do that shit. Bitches shut down and they don't want to say nothing. You know what I'm saying? Like, you work through the conflict. How many times, have y'all, the people that grew up the way I grew up, y'all shot the fair one on somebody, and then, down the line, maybe not even too long, y'all cool again. You know what I'm saying? Y'all had to get through that conflict to come to an understanding. Y'all might have had an argument. It could be a Kobe or Michael, Kobe, Ali or Tyson. That was the thing back in the day. Yeah, you address that. Y'all might get heated, but then again, it's a joke down there. Y'all work through the conflict. Y'all work through the conflict. You feel what I'm saying? You work through it. People that just shut down and don't want to come. Hey, when you dealing with a lot of guys like that, a lot of them, they'll run, go snitch, call the police. That's what they do. So you got to understand who you dealing with. Most of these dudes want to hurry up and call the police because they're a bitch. They avoid conflict. And a lot of that tends to come from a lot of these beta male simp niggas, man. These simp married men. You will notice that. Even a lot of, they'll just want to shut down. You step all over them. They spineless. They have no leadership qualities. They got a problem. I mean, just look at the parallels with femininity here. They never wrong. Even when they wrong, they hate admitting that they wrong. They want to do it my way or the highway, and their way clearly sucks. And it's not the way that, it should be done. And they hate to admit, okay, you was right or that was. Those are the type of dudes that's just literally spineless beta male simps. Let me say that first and foremost. Those are usually the guys that's beta male simps. But we supposed to work through conflict, get through it, and then crack a beer open and still be cool. It ain't, okay, you emotional, man, get emotional. But a lot of these dudes, they get into it, they want to shut down, they want to cry, they want to go snitch, they want to go tell. That's what I be saying, bro. You got to really watch the tendencies. You got to really watch the tendencies in a lot of these males, man. Therefore, you already know what you're dealing with. If you crack him in the jaw, he calling the police. You got to know who you dealing with. But then again, you got to check them and also tell them who they dealing with. Like, bro, I'm not a bitch. You feel what I'm saying? Like, hold on. You got to let the women know too. Like, I ain't no bitch. It's respect over everything. And a lot of dudes want to avoid the conflict until it blow up in their face. And you can avoid conflict and avoid it here, avoid it there. You can avoid it your whole life, but eventually you're going to have to go through it. And once you figure out you got to go through the tough conflict and have the tough conversations with people, and once you figure out that you ask nicely, you have your gripes and you ask nicely and all that shit, and it don't work, and you got to really check a man or check a bitch to let you know that I'm not bullshitting, dog, you going to feel liberated. You're going to feel liberated. Trust me. You're going to feel some liberation, bro. You're going to be very liberated. You're going to be like, man, that felt good. Holding it in, people that hold it in, those are the people that end up, committing homicides and all that shit. Real talk. Hold it in, holding it in. I'm telling y'all, it's the worst thing you can do. Especially if you don't have an outlet, whether it's working out. I mean, some people smoke weed. Whether it's aerobics or whether it's walking or jogging or walking your dog. Most people hold it in, bro. Most people hold it in, and that's crazy, bro. But once you get it out and you lay it on the floor, bro, your life is going to improve. But that's all I had to say, man. Hit the link in the description. Join the Patreon. Subscribe. Thumbs up.